First of all, I want to appreciate the organizers of this event today. It's a wonderful event. I believe this is really timely because it's important for us to understand what's happening in our planet, what's happening in our world, what's happening in our environment, and we need to take action urgently. Our collective existence as humans is under threat on a global scale, yet in a subtle manner. Research shows that Nigeria has the largest desertification rate in the world, approximately 3.5%. The Federal Republic of Nigeria has committed herself to climate action at the COP26 conference, which is the United Nations framework on climate change, which held some years ago in Brazil with the resolution to cut down on carbon emission and increase investment in any positive activity that will bring a regenerative progress to save the planet. According to the Ministry of Environment, it has been estimated that between 50% and 75% of Bauchi, Borno, Gombe, Jigawa, Kano, Katsina, Kebbi, Sokoto, Yobe, Zamfara State in Nigeria has been affected by desertification owing to climate change. This poses a major threat to the people living in this area and their livelihoods. One of the easiest ways for the government to mitigate the adverse effects of climate change is tree planting or reforestation, thereby increasing the process of photosynthesis by plants, reducing the presence of CO2 and increasing oxygen into the atmosphere. Now take a moment, close your eyes for a moment and imagine a world where we have clean air, sustainable energy, thriving ecosystem are the normal thing that we experience every day. This is actually what we are fighting for. Did you know that according to the largest scientific report, we have less than a decade to drastically reduce carbon emission if we really want to avoid catastrophic climate change? Now, what kind of world do we want to be for our future generation? This is a question that lies at the heart of what I want to talk about today. And we will talk about just very briefly because while I walked in, our speaker, one of our speakers already said quite a lot, which is very informative. It's almost the same thing what I have here, but I'll just go, to the way forward. Okay, so I just want to mention one aspect which I didn't really see in his presentation, which is the environmental disaster. Yes, it was part of it, but let me just say a little word around that area. Now, addressing the root causes of environmental disaster requires concerted effort to mitigate human impact on the environment, promoting sustainable development practices, project natural ecosystem, and build resilience to natural hazards and climate change. Now, how do we do this? What is the way forward? Because all these things we're talking about, there's a lot around environmental disaster, which is affecting everybody. So we have a responsibility to play an active role to make sure that, apart from the fact that we're talking about climate change, yes, the effect of the climate change is what we are experiencing. And that is one of the things that we are experiencing today, that it's an environmental issue. It's an environmental disaster that is affecting everybody. So here's my recommendation on the way forward. Like he said earlier, he said it's for us to implement policies and initiatives to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, transition to renewable energy. that is very important. We have said it again and again. So it's time for us to take action in that area. Everybody has a role to play. So whenever we talk about this aspect, everybody cannot do everything. But each and every one of us have a role. We have our area of strength, and we should be able to take action and record our progress level, how far we have gone, because these things have been here happening for a very long time. But very few individuals and organizations like this kind of event and what Mrs. Njoku is doing. This is one of the opportunities that we have to make sure that we are actively involved in taking action to take us from point A to point B. Okay? And then secondly, we need to promote sustainable land use policies, including responsible forestry, agriculture, urban planning, and prevent deforestation, soil erosion, habitat destruction, and land degradation. We have to enforce regulation to reduce pollution from industrial activities, which is one of what our speaker said, and then transportation, agriculture, waste disposal. He said that too. We have to invest in pollution control technologies, recycling infrastructure, and waste management system that will minimize environmental pollution and contamination. We have to protect and restore our natural ecosystem, including forests, wetlands, rivers, coastal areas, to enhance biodiversity, ecosystem services, and resilience to environmental disaster. We also have to develop and implement effective disaster preparedness plan. We don't have to wait till it has already happened before we start working towards it. We have to have a strategy. So what if there is flood in this area? We have a group of people that are readily available, readily set to say, okay, if there is flood, this is what we're going to do. And people get trained for it, because you can't just bring people. You have to train people to be disaster ready. Then community engagement and capacity building. We have to empower local communities through education, training, and capacity building initiatives, just like what we're doing here. It is important that people come together and keep learning. Let's hear more, because sometimes we know about these things. Some of us know about these things, but there are a lot of people that don't really understand the effect and how important and how serious these things are. So we have to just keep talking while the other people that get to know about it, taking action, and we're increasing knowledge and understanding what our responsibilities are. So we have to engage the community participation, also in decision-making processes, and promote indigenous knowledge and traditional practices for sustainable resource management. And then we have to foster collaboration and cooperation at the national level, regional and international levels to address these issues. We have to support developing countries in building their resilience to environmental disaster through financial assistance. Yes, that is very important. We have to extend, to other countries, see how they are doing over there, how were they able to achieve this, because I believe that some countries are far, far ahead of us. So we need to collaborate with them and gain more knowledge and experience on how these things are done. And then lastly, we have to strengthen environmental governance framework, enhance regulatory enforcement, and promote policies that prioritize environmental sustainability. All the people that are in the environmental sector, we have to work together. We have to work together for social equity and economic resilience. So we have to focus on addressing the underlying drivers of environmental degradation, including poverty, because that's very important. Once these things are happening, we're already going into people going into poverty, because once there is a disaster, it's not the business as usual. in the agricultural sector is a huge problem. Lack of food, even food security and transportation, everything is reduced. Everything is reduced. So it's very important that we look at the effects it's having on the people and actively get involved to make sure that these things are reduced. And then unsustainable consumption and production patterns. So all those things are the things that are very important, that is the effect of what we're talking about. Now we need to raise awareness about the importance to talk about that. Now, by implementing this solution is in an integrated and holistic manner, this can work towards building a more resilient, sustainable, and equitable future for all, while we're protecting the earth and its natural resources for future generations. Lastly, I'm going to say that my organization, Pinadasa Legendary, in partnership with the International Family Packet, we started our tree planting project initiative. That was like in 2022. Our target is to plant 10 million trees in 3 years, and we have already started. So this is, we are doing this in order to start off deforestation and prevent desertification. One of our aims is to absorb carbon dioxide and release energy. So we started from the secondary schools in Abuja. And then because we wanted the children to be involved, because as the children are growing, we need to make them understand the importance of planting trees and the importance of not cutting down trees. So while the tree is growing, the child is also growing. So the child begins to understand that you can't just plant the tree. You teach them how to plant the trees and also teach them how to nurture the trees. So as they grow, the trees are growing. So we make them feel like they are also part of saving the planet. As it's growing, they are also growing. So we have done quite a number of that in different secondary schools across the FCT, and we are set to embark to other states in Nigeria. So this is our little way of contributing towards a better environment, to curb the balance of climate change. This is everybody's business. It is everybody's business. We will start a program where we say 1 house, 1 tree. Everybody should plant a tree. If you don't have a garden, just plant only one, just one. That one can help to reduce, the carbon emission. Yes, because we can't be talking, if you are not able to get involved in bigger projects or bigger community, just start with your house, start with your environment, so that together we can create a well-balanced, ozone-friendly environment for our children and future generations. I believe that we are determined to champion this cause, and we are ready to save the planet. My name is Habasa Ibingi Alakuta, and I'm Miss World United Nations 2022. And I'm also the founder of the International Family Packet and the head of the Royal Cabinet.
What is climatic change?
Okay, yeah, as we have listened to the presentation today, you talked about for the layman, like